My 21F Muslim mom, 48F, will likely disown me for spending Christmas with my BF 24 meters. I, 21F, come from a Muslim background. I myself am not super religious and are barely practicing, but my mom, 48F, and the rest of my close extended family are. A little over a year ago, I met an amazing guy, 24 meters, and we started dating. Everything was great. I was in another city for an internship through school, but once that internship came to an end, I had to go back home. My BF and I decided that he would move to my city since I still had a degree to finish and he was wrapping up his masters. Now that he was moving, we thought it would be an appropriate time to tell my mom. Only problem is that he's not Muslim, he's an atheist. It's not a problem to me at all, but I knew it would be for my religious mom, and so I prepared myself and my BF for the potential backlash. I honestly couldn't have told my mom without my sister's 17F help. She reassured me that everything would be okay and was supportive of my relationship. I ended up telling my mom and she took it much better than expected. She even met my BF over Thanksgiving and I thought everything was going well. I live at my university and came home this weekend and told her that my BF and his family had invited me to their home for Christmas. All hell broke loose. My mom basically told me I was flying across the country over her dead body and that if I went I shouldn't bother coming home. She accused me of caring more about my BF and his family than her, and it turned into a family crying and yelling fest. She thinks it's wrong of me to travel with my BF and stay alone with him somewhere. I reassured her I would be staying in the guest bedroom and that we'd be with his family, but she did not care. For COVID concerns she shouldn't have any because my BF is from a very small town with one COVID case so far, and in my country domestic travel is not limited. My mom is worried about how this will look to our extended family and that I'm going to look like a characterless girl. She's forbidden me from going. I had already made up my mind that I wanted to go and I didn't expect her to be happy about it, but I didn't expect her to have such a strong negative reaction. It honestly feels like if I go that I will be disowned. I know one Christmas isn't that big a deal, but I was really looking forward to going and I feel like I shouldn't let my mum dictate how I live my life. I'm a college student and as such financially dependent on her at the moment, but I do have money saved up and I think the money for my education is in an account in my name, so I should be able to access it even if she disowns me. I'm terrified of being disowned, but I think I'd be okay if that did happen. I love my mom and she's had to struggle a lot in her life to raise my sister and I. She dealt with my abusive dad for years until she finally left him and he died a few years back. I'm just lost and confused and don't know what to do right now. Should I skip out on this Christmas and keep the peace with my mom, or should I go and say to hell with it and deal with whatever the consequences may be, which I think I'll be okay dealing with. TLDR, my religious Muslim mom will disown me if I go with my non-Muslim BF to his family's home for Christmas. Not making light of your situation, but there's a hilarious phrase for this exact situation because I've been there too. Emotional support eldest daughter. That's what you are, and she's experiencing you being serious with other people outside of immediate family for the first time in her life. For lots of families where the daughters usually stay home with fam till they're married, it's a big shock that parents will have to learn and overcome. Lil sis helped you a lot and will hopefully help a lot more by reassuring mom or being mom's sounding board. You should prepare for worst case scenario anyway by having all your documents safely secured and accounted for. Please make sure, even if your mom may act crazy, you have to be the adult in this situation by being patient and level-headed with her no matter what. Part of being an adult is the gradual separation from your family. She loves you immensely and likely has separation anxiety exacerbated by religion. It might be harsh, but if I'm totally honest, going for Christmas does not seem worth the hassle right now. I say this because you are young and financially dependent on your family, and unless you have a backup plan that isn't my boyfriend would look after me, I'd navigate this strategically instead of emotionally. I'm not excusing your mother's behavior, but you know your mother, and you know how she would feel. Take baby steps with her if you wish to preserve this relationship. I'm not saying allow her to control you, but sometimes you need to roll with the punches. If going to your boyfriend's parents makes her uncomfortable, discuss it. Get her used to the idea. Maybe it will take some time. Her meeting your boyfriend more and trusting him. Her getting to know more about his family. I just don't think it's worth blowing up your education, livelihood and family ties just to spend Christmas with your boyfriend and his family, considering I don't even know how serious the both of you are. All the best. I would talk to your boyfriend. This relationship is new enough, one Christmas apart won't kill it, but not having firm boundaries will. Explain the financial stakes of a disownment as well as the emotional disappointment of not going. Decide what is best for you and what is best for your relationship. I mean, like, if spending Christmas together is important to him, is he willing to come to you? Figure out what boundaries you would put on your relationship with your mother. Figure out what boundaries he would like in the context of affecting your relationship. Find which ones you're willing to implement of two plans, one for if your mother disowns you and he's there for you, and a second if your mother disowns you and you two don't work out. IBF knows everything that's at stake. He's already said not to worry about it because it's just one Christmas. He said he'd support me no matter what I decide to do. I know that I have nothing to worry about with him, but I do with my mom, because if I don't do what she wants, she's going to hate me. I don't think anyone in my family has boundaries or any concept of it. My mom as my only parent gets to make the decisions for me until I'm married, and after that point my husband can make the decisions for me. Feel like if I don't go, that's setting a dangerous precedent with my mom going forward. What's to stop her from saying I can't go next Christmas and the Christmas after that? If you think it's a real possibility that your mom will disown you and you're set on spending the holidays with his family, make sure you have your ducks lined in a row. Ensure you have all your important documents, and that you have enough funds to last you for at least half a year. You say you're financially dependent on her, figure out how not to be. You should start looking for a place to live and a part-time job. Figure out how to adult. As for whether or not you should spend the holidays with your boyfriend's family, that's entirely your decision. Just make sure you are prepared for any and all consequences. When you say you think the money for your education is in an account in your name, that sounds very vague. Make sure you gave access and your mum doesn't, or else she could transfer it to another account you don't have access to. Quite often parents have control of their child's accounts when they are under 18, and they aren't removed when the child becomes an adult, as people forget. Good luck in your decision. 20. My 29F best friend, 29F, has horrible social tendencies. How do I address them? Hey everyone, I need some advice. My best friend is great, she's so sweet and kind and loving, but she has serious social issues that I cannot stand to not address anymore. Unfortunately, it's become very clear I cannot invite her to social situations if I don't try and correct it or make it known. For starters, I have told her dozens and dozens, possibly hundreds of times, I do not watch YouTube videos of makeup people, YouTube stars, etc. I do not really do Instagram people. I have no qualms that she does, but she talks to me incessantly about these people and I tell her I have no idea what you're talking about, and she just keeps going. She will spend 20+ minutes recapping a 5-minute YouTube video. This is a huge pillar of her personality, which is fine, but it is not something I want anything to do with. I invited her over to hang out with a close group of friends this Saturday and she did this again. We all said, 5 of us, that we don't do the YouTube thing, and she told us we really needed to and how amazing this one influencer is, and she just kept going on and on about a YouTuber she loves who makes videos about Forex. On paper, it sounds minor, but she gets talking and talks so fast it's literally impossible to even hear the words she's saying. And again, if I ask someone, are you familiar with the Hubble Space Telescope, and it's very clear they're not interested, I'm not going to shove information down their throat. She dominates conversation in a way that is outright inappropriate and honestly, annoying. Someone will say the grass is green and she will go on a 20-minute story about how when she was in 3rd grade the grass was really green, so she fell and skinned her knees, and that reminds her of this YouTube video she watched with this girl. Have you heard of her? She's so great. you'd love her videos, but anyways, where was I? She doesn't even realize that people aren't paying attention or engaged. And some of my friends actually left early, and because she was dominating the conversation, interrupting constantly and not really understanding it wasn't appropriate. When it's just us, she doesn't go down the influencer/internet content rabbit holes as deeply. She's pretty in tune with my reactions and understands when to hand off conversation. I am having a Halloween party this weekend, and as bad as it sounds, after seeing for upteenth time how she pulls the energy out of the room, I don't necessarily want her there. I know this probably reads really mean, but to be honest, her behavior embarrassed me, so I'm a little peeved. But I need to talk to her without invoking shame. Another instance of this happening was last year. I had a cookie baking get together for the holidays, and a friend who was there had recently lost someone to suicide. My friend had an ex-boyfriend who committed suicide about 3 years after they broke up, and she completely turned it into talking about her ex's suicide, in graphic detail, for over an hour. Everyone left early and texted me expressing they were offended, found it inappropriate, etc., and I mean everyone in attendance, 7 other people. TL, doctor, my best friend doesn't understand social cues and has, for lack of a better word, embarrassed me in social settings. How do I talk to her about her behavior? Has she been evaluated for any mental health issues? Obviously she could just be annoying and socially tactless, but this also sounds like it has a lot of the markers for ADHD. Obsessive rabbit holes are really common, and coupled with the compulsive talking and bouncing around to different strands of thought, it seems like a real possibility. You might gently suggest to her that she check out some of the symptoms and see if it rings true. A lot of my close friends with ADHD have talked about having similar issues before getting treatment, and it tends to be underdiagnosed in women. Could she be on the spectrum? Incessant monologuing about specialty subjects, without catching social cues of boredom, is a sign. Just tell her straight up that she needs to not dominate the convo and avoid YouTube next time. You can ask her if she wants you to give her a sign she is monologuing. Tell her you admire that she is so passionate about it, but your friends aren't interested in YouTube. If it doesn't work, maybe you guys need to hang out without her, and you can see her one-to-one. Not all friends are meant to hang out with all your other friends. I have plenty of friends that are separate from my regular group. Leave her there. You know you can't stand her during group hangs, so don't do group hangs with her. If you like your one-on-one friendship, keep that. It's not up to you to teach her or try to change her, and you probably won't be successful anyways. People rarely change until they're ready to. If you really want to talk with her about it, go for it, but don't invite her to group hangs again until she fully stops her antics with you. If she is autistic, you'll have to be dead clear with her, as she won't be able to read between the lines if you try to beat around the bush. One of my friends is like this, almost to a T, right down to the incessant talking, not getting social cues, and making everything about her. I've tried to explain to her what the issue is multiple times. For example, my biggest issue is if I'm talking about something heavy, like my dog died, she'll constantly interrupt to ask irrelevant questions or add weird little anecdotes that have nothing to do with the topic, and it makes me feel like she's not listening. I just did a slow fade and stopped inviting her to stuff. It's a mental health issue, but not one you'll be able to solve yourself. Honestly think she could be on the autism spectrum. Girls are harder to diagnose than boys, and it usually goes unnoticed until later on. I know not understanding social cues is a symptom. However, hers seem to be limited mostly to this YouTuber thing, so I might be completely wrong. Just raising it as a possibility. Me, 33F, wanting more than dating mode with the guy, 35, I'm seeing in the past 3 months. Is it possible? We met on OkCupid and really hit it off, which is very rare for me. We meet a lot, cook, laugh, go camping, all the fun stuff. I really like this guy, but we both have trouble with trust. I feel like there's a safety distance that must be kept, and it prevents us from becoming more intimate and share more than a good time. I don't want to ruin it with a serious talk, but I feel I'm getting hostile because of my insecurity and confusion in our relationship, and I do want to share with him that I want more with him, that the casual manner of his responses to any type of verbal affection from me, like oh when I tell him that I've missed him, and lack of questions, any questions that aren't related to our meetings, he initiates dates, plans stuff, he's very physical and warm and does seems to care about our relationship, but I want more going forward. I've tried taking the lead on this, and share and allow myself to be vulnerable, but he stays in the safety distance, and I interpret this as lack of interest and affection and a sort of rejection and close up all hurt and lonely. How can I create a conversation that's not accusing and demanding, but positive and constructive? Too long didn't read. How can I create a conversation that's not accusing and demanding, but positive and constructive with a guy I'm dating for 3 months now, regarding me wanting more than just having fun together?